I've not found not one credible physical body except for the Paracas body, the Paracas Skulls. And this is Brian Forster, who's a good friend of mine and an absolute fantastic researcher who's dedicated his life. And he actually lives over there in Peru, and good friend. And I've discussed and seen his research. It's absolutely top notch because they were going on when you dig under Cusco, you'll start to find these skulls, and they're crazy. I mean, they are like this. That's literally, compared to my skull, the double the height. And it's just massive amount of head. But it's not normal. But what his research discovered is that the actual neck isn't even a human neck. It's set back because these people are born that way. There's no boarding. Strapping on the skull creates them to that long height on the skulls to make them elliptic. So they're born like that. And the position of the actual neck is set back because it's got to balance the head right. So when we're like this one's set back because of the height of the skull. Now, that is credible evidence. And, of course, the people coming along saying, oh, no, it can't be, must be doctored. Well, what did he do? He actually found a full Paracas skeleton and shown it and proved it, that these are born that way. And it is so weird how this type of race of humans fit in. It's like a society of humans that have been wiped out of existence on purpose. It's like, oh, they can't exist because we can't explain where the hell they come from. We can't explain the alterations in the body and the skulls and so. Who are these strange people? And you see that they had red hair, very elongated heads. These and it's the cranium is just crazy. I don't know. It's like someone's been messing around with humanity, genetically altering. And you have these pockets in time when you've got these people have been, I can only assume created because they seemingly come from nowhere, and just so different than normal human beings. And it's no different than saying, some of the giants are real as well. That's been covered over by the Smithsonian Institute for years. In fact, they were trying to hide them so much, they couldn't store them all because they were all going back to the Smithsonian Institute downstairs underground in the underground facilities, the storage units. They couldn't. So what they were doing is they were taking them and they were saying, oh, yes, we're going to ship it over to the Smithsonian Institute and dumping them at sea because we don't want the public to know. And the reasons why is because it cannot fit into the normal evolutionary path. Now, it is a theory at the end of the day. That's why it's called Darwinian theory, right. Even the theory of evolution. He wasn't even convinced himself, Darwin, but he said, okay, well, we can see some forms of microevolution in birds because certain birds change their aspects over hundreds of years, depending on what type of food they're eating, because the beaks change. He wasn't talking about things like this, a Paracas skull and stuff. It just doesn't fit in. We can't give the answer, so let it not exist. So they were covering it up for many years. But the thing is, they can't cover it up anymore because these things are worldwide. And they're so we've got skulls with horns, which are legitimate from Pennsylvania. They were 7 foot tall, 6 or 7 of these people, and long horns, 2 of them. We've got giants with skulls. The skull is twice the size of my skull. So therefore you can work out by cranium sizing that these things were probably around about 10, 11 foot tall.
And these aren't like elongated skulls. These are...
No, this is normal giant skulls of North America. And they have 2 sets of teeth, 2 rows, and they're gigantic. And sometimes they have extra digits, an extra finger. It's just how? Who's been messing about? And throughout time, you've got these pockets of civilizations all around the world, and they're all varied, but equally strange. And you think to yourself, well, we can't evolve in this manner. It's just something which is creating genetic differences between these branches. So something's clearly been doctoring humanity in some form of sense. And I actually just want to keep it all quiet. Keep it quiet because we can't explain it. Well, that and many other things around the world they don't get into. But it's true. There's legitimate evidence there. I've seen it. I've seen some of these things myself, and they are real. I remember talking to the creator at one of the museums when it was the anniversary of Darwin, and they had those little mannequins of the ape to man, and you see the little range and the change. And I remember saying to him quietly, I said, "You're still running with that?" And he says, "Until something we can replace it with, yeah." And I thought, okay, all right. But do you know what? They are still running with it. And do you know what? We're getting the evidence now is couldn't be further from the truth. But of course, they don't want to tell us because it won't make any sense. It'll give us too many questions, prevent more questions than it would answers. So there's a great effort to suppress the information because it doesn't fit the narrative. And then once that evidence lands on the table and it gets enough knowledge and information out there to people are going to be asking questions. Well, okay, get the science guys on it. We want answers. Yeah. And what can they come up with apart from an answer that is in the opposite direction to the historical narrative? And they don't want to change the history books. They're still going on about Adam and Eve. I mean, it's ridiculous. And though that we all love great biblical stories, but it doesn't make sense. And the population of the world has been going on and on and on for quite some time. We know that from how societies have moved because of rising oceans, for many different disasters, the Ice Age and all sorts of different things. And we know that it wipes out a huge amount of society. I mean, if it happened today, we can build rockets and go to them. I can't build a rocket. Can you build a rocket? No. So if someone doesn't survive who can build a rocket, that technology is gone. It's lost. We can never do it. So we have to reboot. And it takes thousands of years to gain the knowledge to get back. And this is what's happened because now we know that the Egyptians were cutting stone rocks themselves. This the footings, the saws, 32-foot saws. Yeah. And they were diamond-tipped saws. And they were cutting the rock themselves. The footings are in there. And you can see the footings. Keep it quiet. But what you don't get to see is these pits, metal pits, iron pits. And over the years, you put a car engine out for 3,000 years in the desert, there'd be nothing left. Just dust. These pits are full of these metal filings and dust. It's where the equipment was. And it's just weathered away. It's just gone. Now, don't get me wrong. There probably some that did survive, which weren't in the elements. And of course, the Egyptian government said, well, let's get them out of the way because they shouldn't exist. Some of these societies were very advanced at cutting and manipulating stone and how man have moved them and stuff. So we can't underestimate our ancient ancestors. But at the same time, there are still lots of questions as well. How did they become so knowledgeable? Well, it's like this series of events that have taken place throughout time. They gain knowledge and then it's lost. And then they gain knowledge and then it's lost. And, we're in that process of gaining knowledge now. Who knows? And it's a scary thought, but in years to come, maybe not within our lifetime, maybe not within the next, but there might be another disaster and there'll be another reboot. And unfortunately, we'll go back to the basics and we'll start building again. It's like a recycle because everything else is a cycle in the universe, isn't it? Everything. So it's only natural that, we seemingly have these cycles, just as the dinosaurs disappeared.
Are you familiar with the work of Dr. John Brandenburg with Mars?
I am, yes, and the nuclear isotopes. Now, the nuclear isotopes, I've looked at into this, and it is very interesting because they're very similar to what you might have got if there was radiation in the atmosphere through a nuclear war. Mm-hmm. So we have to ask, which is interesting, actually, because Mars is regarded the god of war. So there's the little things that have come through over the years. Was there a war? And if there was, who was it? And there are clearly items on Mars that shouldn't be there. There was once a civilization. Look, all you got to do is look at some of the material now, which the rovers are and things are filming, and you think, what the hell is that? It's pieces of machinery. It's pieces of carved rock. It can't exist. It's impossible. And they're everywhere. And it's really hard for them to take a trip for a couple of miles without filming some of this stuff. It's hard. And I'm sure they try not to. But little bits always get out.
Who's covering this up? I mean, you would have to think it would be a fairly extensive group that is dedicated to covering it up. Right.
Yeah, it was originally because it was dealt by one organization within NASA. But now you've got so many subcontractors and events guys and all sorts of different things who've got the fingers in the pot. They're all getting a piece of the action. You can't control the leakage. That's the problem. There's too many people are getting it. And this is the problem. It's like anything in regarding, if you're going to get people out there, the defense contractors, which are working on certain things of certain technology, give them a piece, them a piece, them a piece. They don't know what it's all going to come to. But eventually someone's going to talk because they can't control it. It's not a tight circle anymore. And when that happens, then they usually have to make statements such as, Space Force exists. we're going to create Space Force. Well, that's only because it's been going for since 1965 anyway. So, but you can't control the secret anymore. So they bring it into the domain of the human or public domain to say, oh, we're going to do this. It gets them away out of the fact that they've been doing it since 1965. And it's the same for many, many other things, regarding these set narratives. People eventually talk. So, you know what? It's happened on Mars. This stuff has happened on the moon. And it's something's been going on. Who was the war? Well, who did it? Why did they do it? Or was it something to do that there was some natural nuclear, because we are missing a planet, and clearly between us, ourselves and Mars and stuff, that might have resulted in the moon. It might have resulted in the bombardment so heavily on Mars that it lost its atmosphere. And without an atmosphere, it just dried up to a desert. It's like Tatooine in the Star Wars. It's just no water there. And what there used to be beautiful seas and coastlines and everything. Mm-hmm. You can see structures that have been purposely built around the coastlines, just as we would do. Just the same thing that we would do. This is why so many people are arguing point now. Are we the Martians? Have we originated from Mars, come to Earth and populated Earth? Because
I think our internal clocks are actually,
they're set to the Martian time. Yeah. It's a natural thing. It's in there. It's weird. And do you know what? We can all ponder these wonderful mysteries, and we'll never know. Priests, whoever these hierarchy were, that obtained that information and delivered it into ancient writings. There's references in many of these ancient books all around the world about these things. The Vimanas, for an example, and all sorts. Warring even here. It's been quite unsettling. And if you look at the Bible, what's it start with? There was a war in heaven. Heaven's up there. That's what they refer to, the heavens. Yeah, not some fabrical place. It's up there in space and stuff. But that war in heaven, it seemingly might have been the same war that took place on Mars. It's seemingly the same type of war that the Vimanas, these different factions with warring against each other. There's even locations, ancient sites on our planet that looks evidential of a modern nuclear explosion. And it's crazy. It shouldn't exist.
I mean, there's even accounts of things like that, like the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible, right?
Yeah. But how does it happen in ancient times? I do not know. It's a real mystery. But do you know what? How much do we really know about our history? I think it's very potted. We know very little. The clues are in the ancient writings. But do you know what? There's too many people that want to jump on the bandwagon and put their theory forward as facts. And it is only a theory at the end of the day still. We haven't got the answers. So people are left with these gaping holes trying to fill them with something, even if it's their own work. But the bottom line is that maybe we'll never know for sure, because it predates the documentation cycle. Now it doesn't. If incidents happen, everything gets documented. But back then, if people didn't write about it, then it didn't exist. That's basically the problem. We know that now that the UFO phenomenon is metaphysical phenomena. Just because we see a UFO does not mean it's fully in our reality. It's somebody that skirt our reality. And the problem is that we've been taught to believe if we see it and it's real in our reality, then it's there and it's real, and but question off the line, what is real at the end of the day? It's just something we see? No. Some of this, the phenomena has the capabilities of being physical in nature within our reality, and at a click of a finger, it can be not. We wouldn't know, apart from the fact sometimes they do actually dematerialize and materialize, which is evidential of that. But sometimes they can seem to be physical and they're not. And this is why they're not picked up on radar sometimes. And this is why they'll fly right past an aircraft and there's no wake. No, like you would get, like two boats passing in the ocean. Sometimes they enter water. There's no wake in the water. And this doesn't cause them to physically slow down because they're not hitting anything physically there. We see that. We think they are, but it's not. And this is a problem because it happens exactly the same thing in the paranormal. I know, look, there have been experiments where communications with non-human intelligences, which, funny enough, first appeared around seance tables before the UFO connection to them, surprisingly. things have been moved across through experiments and seances and stuff, communicating with these things, whatever they are. And there's been demonstrations when items have become non-solid and they've been moved across the table slowly, and you reach out to move it and you can't pick it up. Your hand goes right through the damn thing. Now, what's really strange is you can fire a laser at it and it doesn't, it acts as if it's there. It scatters the light normally. It casts shadow as normal. You would swear it's there. You think, okay, it's within our reality. There's no evidence to show it's not. You put your hand out through it, you get no tingling sensation on your hand, no numbness, no coldness. There's just nothing until they want it to be. And then they'll say, okay, you'll hear electronic voice saying, move it back. And it's always above you. If you stand up, it's above you. If you sit down, it's above you. I don't know why. And it's electronic. It's not male. It's not female, because they don't have vocal cords. So it's generated phenomena.
Is the voice that you're hearing in these seances, is it in your head, or is it going through your ear canal? Is it actual sound? That's
a good question. Well, do you know what? It's a complicated question, actually. There's a phenomenon known as transplacement, which is what they do. Now, if we talk about alien beings, communicating us with telepathy, well, it's not. It's transplacement phenomena. It predates telepathy. It's within the paranormal field. This is when phenomena directly targets us as pieces of equipment. In other words, this is why we get EVPs. This is why we get instrumental transcommunication on specialized equipment. We're recording in a silent environment and we don't hear anything. And yet the equipment records it. That equipment recorded it, that one did, and that one did. All at the same time, but various different things. How can you get various different things? And none of us heard anything. It's because the phenomena targets that equipment, targets that one, targets that one. Sometimes putting different things on. It's not harmonic because the equipment is designed to record harmonic sounds, 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. So we're not going to go and buy a recording device like one of these things and think, oh, well, that's going to, record things that aren't harmonic. They're not designed to. Why would they? Because we wouldn't hear it, would we? So the fact is that, and this is actually one of those devices, actually by Olympus, the 670, that became probably the world famous recorder in the paranormal field. And I'll tell you the reasons why. Is because we were working with Olympus. They sponsored us and they provided these for us, quite a number of them. We set out 3 of them in a silent environment, just for 10 seconds record, woman's voice on one, a male's voice on another, and just pops and clicks on the other one. But we don't even know what the pops and clicks were. It shouldn't be there. And yet, nothing in the environment, no harmonics. Therefore, your eardrum doesn't rattle because there's no harmonics in the air. So when people are hearing things, I heard my name being called, or are hearing a message or hearing something, sometimes it can be 2 people can get targeted. Sometimes it's just an individual. When people turn around and say, I've just heard my name being called. Did you hear that? I didn't hear anything. People aren't always going mad. Because what it does is it targets the cochlea inside the inner ear, which is the ear canal with the liquid and hairs in. Mm-hmm. And it manipulates that. And the brain goes, oh, someone's talking, and turns it into language. And we hear it. We are being used as pieces of equipment. So it's transplacement phenomena. Now, that's a big problem, you see, for us, because people have got built this whole thing about telepathy and, and they're talking aliens, whatever these beings are communicating with the telepathy. It's just exactly the same phenomena. It's just given the different term. It predates the telepathy hypothesis. So the thing is, it all falls under the paranormal. It's all paranormal. They've got to be coming from the... All right, so how many strange entities are they listed now? Well, over 3,000. Just over 3,000. 3,200 or something, I think, is listed now. Varied entities. And that's there's 36 different types of greys. Some have long black hair. Crazy. But, and you look right across the board. Okay, so you've got over 3,000 different entities. Strange that they're all bipedal, 2 arms, 2 eyes, a nose and legs. If you want to see something alien, you just go to the bottom of the North Sea. There's truly some alien stuff down there, And yet, what they're doing coming from 3,600 different planets, they all do the same thing. They all try and, they all have the same type of craft. They all do these silly little things that they do. It's absurdity. And that's what Jacques Vallée said many years ago. This phenomena is generating absurdity on purpose. It's a psychological warfare on human perception. You do it on purpose because we never seen the true face of the phenomenon in the sense of speaking. Don't get me wrong. People might have nicey experiences, and people might have some bad experiences which don't get out there very often because they're swept under the rug. But at the end of the day, you have to level the playing field and say this is just what the phenomenon represents: some good, some bad. At the end of the day, though, total confusion. We're here to save planet Earth. Really? Have you done anything? No, haven't done anything. In fact, I think we've gone past I'll be honest with you, I think we've gone past the saving process because they're stopping it now. If you press the button today, Sean, 25 years has to go by before the engine stops. We're already gone past the point. That's why billions and billions of dollars are being secretly plowed into science to look for new planet Earth, not to save old planet Earth, to look for the new one. And this is the process because they're not daft. We've gone past that point of being able to just switch off and change, and that is a terrible shame. And that's humanity for us, not all of us, of course, but sometimes we like to disassociate ourselves from it. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. So not here to save planet Earth. They're not stopped us, not doing anything. So what are they? Oh, we're here to save humanity? Well, hang on a second. You know what? What masses, millions of people get killed every year all the time.